My college coach used to say, even a blind squirrel finds the acorn once in a while. And I think that you can find a company, even as normally evil as Zillow, will occasionally do the right thing, even if it's by accident or by coincidence. What am I talking about? Well, before we get into that, let's take a look at the market, and we'll get into where Zillow is, I think, doing the right thing for consumers because they have no choice. I'm Bill Gross. This is my weekly real estate market update. And as always, we want to start off by taking a look at the overall market to see where we are. Two parts of the economy, the demand and supply. Demand is the buyer side, determined mostly by interest rates. And it's been a pretty volatile week or so. I think the news about the tariffs is more, and the change in the stock market has created more drama than anything else. You can see at one point the rates plunged down to 6.6, they went over 7%, and they're now about 6.8. We're about where they've been for the midpoint of the last year or so. Overall, their interest rates are such that right now they're going to have plenty of buyers available to buy, won't hold anybody back. Of course, if things change, they may change. As of now, the interest rates are solid for buyers to get in the market, and those are in the market to convert on what they want to convert with. On the demand side, on the supply side, inventory, and if we look at just came out March, numbers are slightly higher inventory than they were in February. Went from 1,188,000 to 1,212,000, slightly higher. You can see that always in the springtime, the inventory comes up as sellers go in the market who are looking to trade up, who weren't there before. Other sellers who were celebrating the holidays, not ready to get started yet, are jumping in. But even still, we have historic lows. Other than non-pandemic period, it has never been less inventory. You have to go back to 2019. Look at the difference in the inventory. We had 1.4 million, almost 1.5 million houses for sale at the bottom in December 2019. And so we still have a long ways to go to get to a normal, healthy level of inventory. Locally in Los Angeles, our market overall is still a seller's market. I use Altos Research, a great service that takes a look at all the factors. It comes up with a number they call the market action at 39. Now that dipped recently down to 37, but as an effect, I think, of the fires are starting to play out now. We have 13,000 houses that are gone. We have about half of those homeowners who are still looking to buy now. They've been renting or looking to buy. I feel them coming to the market. I get more and more offers on those people. So overall, I think the market here in LA is tighter than it is nationally, and we're at 39, which is still a seller's market, not as strong as it was during COVID, but stronger than it's been in the near recent period, and looks to me, if anything, moving in that direction. Okay, so Zillow. Business Insider, one of the worst sources of news, more about how to read the political tea leaves because they're really just a political actor, wrote an article, "The golden age of house hunting is over. Thanks to new rules in real estate, Zillow is about to lose a lot of listings." So what they're saying is when Zillow had a lot of listings, that was the golden age, and now Zillow doesn't have, that's not the golden age, tying obviously, as I think many people do in the corporate press, to these large international globalist conglomerates like Zillow, Redfin, Rocket Mortgage that really have destroyed our real estate industry, but they made a lot of money for their investors. And so what's happening here is, as a result of the lawsuit, and I think also the lawsuit mentality, we can solve problems by government power rather than the marketplace. The lawsuit we had in St. Louis, one city, one lawsuit, 12 people, one jury, one judge, has completely upheaved the whole real estate market. One of the effects is, can you have listings that are not on the MLS? And the argument in the lawsuit is that it's unfair to make sellers put in the MLS, therefore they should have the right not to. Well, that sounds right. Everybody supports people having the right to do what they want to do. But really it's a false argument, because not putting it in the MLS restricts how many buyers see the property, gets the seller, based on data, a lower price, longer time on market. It does help the agent who double ends the deal by hiding it from other agents, hoping to force the demand so they get a double end and get two commissions instead of one. So now the problem is, while Zillow has kind of created this lawsuit mentality and they cheerleaded the destruction of NER and cheerleaded the destruction of real estate companies, now the monster's coming back to eat them, because the same lawsuit that has hurt realtors now is hurting the idea of exclusive listings. And now Zillow stands to lose because if realtors don't put their listings publicly, they won't show in Zillow. As a result, they lose their monopolistic powers, and that's what they don't want. So Business Insider, which gets advertising from Zillow, they need to cheerlead for Zillow, so they make it sound, oh, poor Zillow's being abused. No, this is Zillow's making. They're the ones who supported this whole globalist nationalist part. Now, Housing Wire is another one that promotes Zillow, I think, regularly as a corporate press, and they make Zillow look like the powerhouse, Zillow's preemptive strike on private listings. So what they're trying to say is that Zillow is reaching out and bad-mouthing the idea of private listings, which is true, but they're fighting for their lives because if listings go private, like they are in Europe, where customers have worse service, pay higher commissions, net overall, if that's what happens, Zillow loses their monopoly power. And so Housing Wire here was an article and has a little airplane with Zillow on it because they're the powerful Zillow. And then they share their thoughts on new Zillow standards. Zillow standard is if you don't list your property with everybody, you're not going to show it on Zillow. And so it sounds like they're the hero, but in reality, they're fighting for their lives because if, in fact, these listings are not public, nobody's going to go into Zillow anymore. They're going to go onto individual real estate companies. And here's another one, Mike DePreti, which surprised me because he's not corporate. He is a professor of real estate. Now, he doesn't sell real estate. And so for all his knowledge, like a lot of corporate professionals, he's a very smart guy, very good on data, but I think easily influenced by the people he interviews. And so here again, he has his article, Zillow strikes back against exclusive inventory. No, the truth is Zillow's fighting for his life. They have no choice. It's not they're doing the right thing for the market. They're not doing the right thing for anybody but Zillow, which is because if listings aren't publicly available, there's no more Zillow, and their $8 billion value evaporates. Now, it's funny, they say it's their new policy, which is true. The part that I find funny about it is it was just a few years ago that Zillow was promoting their listing showcase, that if you paid more money with Zillow, they would show them at the top of the page and not other listings, i.e. creating their own private MLS. And so their original goal was to replace the MLS with Zillow. They also bought a showing company. It was an online service MLSs were using at the time to show properties. And the idea there was that they would have all the data on who was showing what listings so they could then reach out to them to sell them advertising, decide either promote or not promote those listings. And then eventually they bought that company. So now they controlled the realtors, the realtor activity, the buyer activity, the seller activity, attempting to create their own exclusive MLS. And so it's not that Zillow is fighting a private MLS, it's that Zillow tried to create their own and lost. And as a result, they're fighting for their life. And they easily could be out of business if they're not successful at this. So as I talked about in a prior episode, hiding listings from other agents and hiding from other marketing sources means less people see it. Like anything in life, the less people that see something, the less attention there is, the less valuable it is, the less people pay for it. The only people who profit are real estate agents who want to double on their deal or agencies like Compass. This is their way of using their monopoly power to try to get more revenue as a company, because if both of their agents are on both sides of a deal, they make more money. I'm really proud of eXp Realty as making a public stance. We will not allow private listings. We had a private listing service we still have for those sellers who want to be private completely, not to sell within our company to service customers, but we made the decision that if you can't show it publicly, we're not going to take those listings. And so I'm really proud of us being at the forefront as a company saying, we're serving our customers first, knowing if we take care of customers, it'll take care of everybody in the long run. Zillow is really doing this to save their life. Compass is doing this as a way to monopolize the market as their goal. And I think overall that the private listings is a bad idea for most customers. What do you think? Let me know your comments below. In other real estate news, Fannie Mae, which is basically should be bankrupt, and most people know it's in conservatorship, meaning they're so financially incompetent for 12 years, they've had to have a court run the company, both Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And this is a company that controls trillions of dollars of mortgages and is only worth billions of dollars, meaning they're basically playing it's equivalent of them going to Vegas with our tax dollars and using a casino credit line to play with our tax dollars. And of course, if they win, they get all the benefits in their salaries and benefits. Turns out Fannie Mae had 700 employees laid off just because of one scandal, where this one program was supposed to be targeting people who spoke a particular dialect of Indian, some kind of India nation language. And there's so many people involved in the scam, 700 were laid off. That's how much fraud there is, how much waste there is in housing and urban development between Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and other departments. And so Fannie Mae laid off 700 people, and this was not cost cutting. This was purely one program. Show how big it was, what a waste of money it was. And they were caught really cheating people out of money and not doing things they're supposed to do. Another example in the news of government waste. This is government waste proving how bad they are and proving how bad the government bureaucracy is. NPR, which we had no need for. There was a time when the government needed TV stations and radio stations to get the word out. But these days with the internet, we don't need it. It's just a government welfare program for wealthy broadcasters and payola, basically. And we taxpayers are subsidizing them. But more importantly, NPR has become a mouthpiece for the government bureaucracy. So rather than report the news, they only report things that support their friends and family who work at other government agencies. And to show you how, and we've seen recently in the news, the new administration discussing getting rid of NPR. And this article, I think, proves why they should, because they're covering what they think is a hit piece on the Trump administration that not only is not a hit piece, it shows how bad the government is, but also shows how bad NPR is. I'll show you a little further. So the subject line is, for these seniors, DOGE's affordable housing pause means suffering longer without AC. And there is the picture, it's obviously staged, of the woman suffering. She's suffering because she doesn't have air conditioning. And so if you read the headline, you would think that Elon Musk and Doge are literally holding up money that should go to paying for people's air conditioning. And there's some truth to that. But when you go deeper in the article, what you learn is this program by the Housing and Urban Development, these people haven't had air conditioning for 3 years before Doge, before the Trump administration. And the money was distributed a year ago before Doge, before the Trump administration, and they still don't have air conditioning. So really the headline could be, after 3 years of waiting and a year of spending money, Housing and Urban Development still doesn't provide air conditioning, showing how bad the government is. But instead of NPR highlighting the truth and helping us fix a problem, they're too busy trying to aim their target. And I'm sure people should read the headlines, all they saw was, oh, Doge is bad, that bad Elon Musk, and missed the point. Not only is the housing and urban development bad, the NPR is just rotten to the core. And this article, I think, shows another example that proves that, right? They can't even insult the government properly without making a mistake. Speaking of insulting local government ineptitude, in Los Angeles, it's been disclosed that so far, with 13,000 homes burned down, how many permits have been approved to rebuild out of 13,000 so far? 4. But don't worry, your county, LA County, has hired former General Stanley McChrystal to be the PR, to be the communications company, meaning of all the employees in LA County, we don't have anybody who can talk to the press as is. We've got to go out and hire a high-priced communications company to represent the county to explain why they've only approved 4 permits. Want to spend the money on getting permits approved? Want to spend the money on learning how to get permits approved faster? No, they're not doing that. They're spending the money on a communications team to explain to you why it's okay that with 13,000 homes burned down, here we are in mid-April, now second half of April, and we have only 4 permits approved so far. So there you go. That's your Los Angeles County tax dollars at work. And really, if you want to know, well, how do things get done, to show you what people are doing, here's an article by Times. A rich LA neighborhood donated surveillance technology to LAPD. LAPD has been cut back so much, we have less police force than we had years ago, even though our population's gone up and crime's gone up. Got so bad that in Cheviot Hills, a neighborhood not too far from me, the residents there donated surveillance cameras. Now, many cities have this as a way to effectively police or supplement police. Beverly Hills has a lot of cameras. One of the reasons why their law enforcement is so effective. LA doesn't do that. So here in LA, in one neighborhood, Cheviot Hills actually donated cameras and surveillance equipment to get the policing we need. So in addition to paying taxes, sales tax just went up, property taxes, income taxes, and on top of all that, the only way to get law enforcement in Cheviot Hills effectively is to donate the actual cameras. So, again, the city government, the county government, the national government isn't solving a problem that we can. And if you're looking for those to solve your financial problems, you're missing the opportunity of a lifetime. Save money, buy real estate, invest in something, and be successful. Don't wait for the city, state, local, or county government to solve the problem, because based on all the results and all the reports, they're not going to do it. What do you think? Am I being too hard? Am I too hard on NPR or HUD? Am I too hard on the county or city? Give me your comments, reply, text, email, subscribe if you like this material. As always, make today your best day ever. I'm Bill Gross, at Bill Gross Probate on social media. We'll talk to you soon.